But again, you say you're not.
No, I say no. I'm saying this is being academic. I say it's the reality now that we have on the ground. No, if we must have representation.
Yes.
I'm saying that let's have it to reflect proportional representation.
Because what I have done,
and Sulaiman has said so as much that it's cute.
No, what
I was asking. It was asking.
It was asking you, but you know, I also did a bit of maths, a very quick, you know, small arithmetic here, and I'm looking at 492 people representing 160 million Nigerians. Yeah. Would you really say that that is representative? I mean, you have an average of one person representing, one person in that conference representing roughly over 325,000 Nigerians, and then for Labour, you're complaining about 24 people representing about 8 million people.
No, I'm saying if we must have representation, let it be proportional.
How proportionate can it get, even when we're complaining about the numbers already?
Yeah, but if you also know the broad, my own position, actually from day one from this, that's why I said my excitement is also that it has gone through good quality control. Because I'm one of those people who were initially quite skeptical that no, we don't need to question the
existence of our country. What is the quality control that has gone through?
That now we have reaffirmed commitment to unity of the country, and what we need to do is to discuss all the other issues that can deepen the federation.
What is the quality control? So, because it would seem that, you know, in your own discussion, you've also looked at the numbers, you've looked at the numbers of the National Assembly, you've looked at the terms to be discussed, you've seen that there is a no-go area, and you've also said, isn't this what the National Assembly does on a daily basis? So what exactly is the quality control that you think will set this delegation aside?
There's a qualitative departure. I mean, I know one of the members of the preparatory committee, you know, I mean, you had him on this channel. That's Tony Ranta, you know, and I was quite amused when he conveyed the frustration of the committee when they were trying to base it on ethnic nationalities, and they discovered that the list was endless, apart from being divisive. But this is a complete departure. This list is not about ethnic nationalities. It's about all inclusiveness of Nigerians, civil society, traditional rulers, elder statesmen, labor, you know. And for me, that's Nigeria that we're going to discuss. So that's one quality control. But I also want to say that for us to achieve the objectives that have been set, we need to also, they've torn it open about determining the leadership of the conference, you know. I mean, to be done by the members themselves, and I hope we will not repeat the pitfall of the recent past. You know, there was a crisis of leadership for the political reform conference. You know, you remember, if you can, when they wanted to elect the secretaries, at the point we had co-chairman rather than one chairman. I mean, you know, Bishop Marty Kuka was initially picked to be. For me, that's an eminent Nigerian, highly respected. You know. And all of a sudden, we brought all our prejudices. So people say, oh, you know, because of religious profiling. And then Professor Oloyede became the co-secretary. You know, I hope this time around, looking for bigger picture of Nigeria, we should look for somebody who can drive this agenda, impeccable integrity, who will be able to moderate and have, so that some of the issues will be arrived through consensus rather than the 70% majority vote. In fact, that one will also be a tall order.
No, they say consensus as much as possible.
Yeah,
but where it is not feasible or achievable, 75%. I mean, isn't that being realistic that there will always be a minority that might not totally always agree, but as much as possible, majority, and not just any kind of majority, but substantial majority must be carried along?
No, that would be interesting. I mean, how we arrive at that 75. What I'm trying to say, it's even better that we arrive at some of the conclusions through consensus, and that requires the leadership style that will be able to have a win-win approach to all the discussions.
Do you see a situation where, you know, there could be some sort of, I don't want to say cabal, but, you know, like a strong driving force where most people are just saying yes or no to whatever it is these groups of people say? Do you see that kind of grouping emerging in the conference?
Well, it depends on what the issues are, but I think if the issues are about Nigeria, about development, I mean, if it's about electrification, for instance, we have a consensus that we must move from generator economy to uninterrupted power supply. I don't think, I mean, every Nigeria will get bought into that. If it is about industrialization, it's about youth employment, job creations. I mean, those, for me, those are labor issues that we possibly will bring to the table. You know, certainly, I mean, definitely there's a consensus that we must achieve development for that.
How do you think that the agenda, because right now you're already coming up with labor issues, how do you think that the agenda for for this particular 3-month summit is going to be set?
How do I think the agenda will be set? No, wait, the agenda have to be driven by the participants who are going to the delegates, and have to the issues that have concern to the labor movement. You know, I mean, these are primary issues, and we can be on education, for instance. As I'm talking to you now, polytechnics are under lock and key nationwide. You know, and that's why some people have said this is not something we need to debate, something we should do. You know, I mean, last year university closed for 6 months. You know, but the one that is even worrisome to me, in this is the spacing of this debate. Yeah, I mean, you have a guidelines roll out for national conference. Just 3 days ago, INEC has also rolled out its own guidelines. I think we should learn to space reform. You know, otherwise you have a crowded agenda, a lot of diversion, because I know executive has a lot of responsibility to make sure we have free and fair elections. National orientation agencies have to get cracking, you know, to prepare people for voters. But when you are there, you know, dotting their I's at the national conference.
Is this conference necessary then?
Yeah, I mean, that's why some people have argued. But again, it will be academic now because it's a reality. And I think what we need to do is to make it to see how we can maximize the gain out of it.
It can still be, it can still pull the
But let me put it this way. You know, I listened to the Secretary to Federation yesterday, Pius Ayuma, and he said 3 months at the first instance. That's the tenor. I think we should make it to be 3 months.
At the first instance?
No, final instance. You know, just the sense of urgency and the speed with which the preparatory committee was formed. They gave them 6 weeks, they beat the time, submitted the report, and now they've announced why we don't have to make it open-ended. 3 months is okay in terms of time and resources. I listened to President Jonathan. He also said we've wasted more time and resources, you know, doing BB you know, and we can't. Time is even for me more significant because if we are going to prepare for elections, I think it's clear that we must get rid of this debate within 3 months, and we must. There's so much work to be done, you know. And on the last note, again, the same orientation, the same speed, and the sense of purpose will apply to this. Will apply to outstanding governance issues. You have petroleum industry bill.
That's another matter entirely.
For the past 10 years, gathering dust.
So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Comrade Sari Musa, Vice President of NLC.